Welcome to the next part of our business technology orientation. This presentation will provide you with information on what you can expect in your classes, an introduction to Blackboard, and then an overview of ways to gain credit for skills and experiences that you already have. And we call that credit for prior learning. So let's get started. So you will need to take a number of classes to meet the graduation requirements for your program. And we highly recommend that you take them in the order that they are listed on your curriculum. So the reason that the professionals in our department set up the classes in this way is so that you can succeed. You're going to gain important information and skills early in your classes, and you will need to apply that later when you take other classes. So if you take them out of order, you might struggle and you might not find as much success. Note also that some classes have prerequisites, and in these cases the order of the classes for you is predetermined. So for example, if you're in an associate degree program in business technology, you will take the software capstone course in your last semester of the program. And the reason that you take this in the last semester is that there are prerequisites. You have to take 5 other classes before you can take software capstone. And we do realize that sometimes it's not possible to take classes exactly in the order that they're shown. For example, you might be on a wait list for a class and not get in, or you might have limited options during the summer session. However, try to use your program curriculum as a guide for ordering your classes. And as always, if you have any questions, ask your faculty advisor. Balancing school with other obligations that you have can be challenging, and we want you to succeed. So keep in mind all of the ways that you use your time when you plan out your schedule. So that's all of your time for all of your things that you do in your life. So you may realize that you don't want to take 16 or 17 credits if you work or if you have a family. So therefore, you will need to take fewer classes and consider summer school if you have a lot of outside obligations. It will take longer to complete your degree, but you will finish. And it's always better to take your time and learn the skills for your program rather than rushing through and not finding success. One great way to reduce stress and be prepared for your classes is to get your books, required software, and supplies right away. You can look for information from your class instructor welcome letter. You can look on the course syllabus. You can even find information about the textbooks in your Madison College Student Center. So you can find out which textbooks are required in person at the bookstore or online through the college's website, and most books are shipped right away. Regarding the internship requirement, the administrative professional, medical administrative specialist, and office management programs all have an internship requirement. And even though it's just orientation, we want you to start thinking about the internship now. You're going to want to consider what areas you want to gain real-world experience in. For example, if you've always been interested in working in a small health clinic, you can start focusing your energies that way. You're going to need to find your own placement for your internship class. So knowing about it now can help you keep in mind contacts that you gain during your first few semesters, and they can potentially help you find your internship placement. Keyboarding is very important in every business technology program. And this will be a key skill in your career. It leads to being efficient on the job, and at a minimum, you should be able to type 50 words per minute. If you already have good typing skills, you can test out of the keyboarding class that is required in some programs, and we call those test outs challenge exams. So if you can type 25 words per minute, you can test out of the intro to keyboarding class. And if you can type 50 words a minute, you can test out of the keyboard skill building class. As you know, practice is crucial for good keyboarding skills. So even after you've taken the keyboarding course or tested out of it, be sure to keep practicing. There are a lot of great online programs to help with this. All you need to do is open an internet browser, open Google, and enter search terms free typing test. So when you are planning your schedule, and this is in the topic of classes, there are a few things that you should consider. First of all, if you're taking classes on campus, be sure that the time frame of the classes does not overlap. Also, for classes that are on campus, keep in mind that there may be travel time between campuses. We have several Madison campuses, and you might find that you need to visit more than one campus for your classes. Each class also has a limited number of seats available, and this is even true for online classes. So each class, so you're going to want to make sure you register for your classes early because of those limited seat assignments. You want to get in and get the classes that you need. If you find that all of the seats in the class are already full, we highly recommend that you check the box to be added to the wait list. Sometimes other students drop, and then you're going to be added to the course. And additionally, if enough students are added to a wait list, sometimes extra sections of course are opened up, and then you'll be able to take the course that you need. And as mentioned before, you'll need to plan out the number of credits that you're going to take. So if you're receiving financial aid, you will have to have a minimum number of credits that you take. And as for the maximum, keep in mind how long it takes to work on each of your classes. You also need to balance off-campus obligations like work and family. So use your self-awareness skills and choose the correct number of credits for you. As you decide how many credits to take, keep this information regarding the number of hours you need to plan to work on your course in associated homework. So, and do note that the numbers that are in these tables are per week. So often needed for financial aid purposes, the college considers a full-time student as one who's taking a minimum of 12 credits. 3/4-time students are taking between 9 and 11 credits per semester. And half-time students are taking between 6 and 8 credits per semester. And just so you know, the summer session uses those same guidelines. In terms of knowing how much time to spend on each course each week, the general rule for colleges overall is that for every hour that you spend in the class, you can plan to spend 2 to 3 hours outside of class doing homework and studying for exams. And online classes should include the number of hours in class when you're calculating the total. So in class, you would go to a lecture, you would learn about a particular topic, you would participate in an activity, and you would learn it that way. Online students need to do that on their own. They need to read the textbook, watch the online lectures, still do some activities. So that counts. So also keep in mind that some classes run for different durations, so the number of hours in class per credit may vary. So for example, I teach several 1-credit classes that meet each week for 2.5 hours. This is because they only meet for 8 weeks rather than the full 16 of a semester. So for a class like that, you would calculate 2.5 hours for in-class work, plus an extra 5 to 7.5 hours for homework, for a total of 7.5 to 9.5 hours per week just for this 1-credit class, though it is only 8 weeks long. So that explains why it takes so much time. So this is just a guideline. Depending on your experience with the topic of study, it might take you more time, it might take you less time. And while we're on the topic of time, be sure to start all assignments early, and that will give you time to ask the instructor questions and provide ample time for him or her to respond to your question. It's always best to be done with things early rather than panicking and having to rush at the last minute. Blackboard is our online classroom. So even classes that meet in a physical classroom will use Blackboard. It's like a website, and it contains all the crucial information for your class. It's a place where many instructors post assignments, information for class, supplemental information, helpful hints. It's a place where you can keep track of your grades. So Blackboard may be where you submit assignments and take exams and quizzes, and keep track of your progress. So be sure to check Blackboard often, as it is a place where instructors can post announcements. In addition to classes having Blackboard sites, programs have Blackboard sites too. Of course, you already knew that because that's how you connected to this video. So be sure to review each of the links along the left edge of the page. Even if you don't need the specific information now, it's a good idea to know where to find it later. So here in my screen, I have an example of the program Blackboard site for the medical programs, medical business technology programs. And here you can find information about business technology resources and faculty and program information and advisors and so on. So this is a great resource for you. I have an example of an online course so you can get a little introduction to that. So here I have an example of an Access Beginning class that I actually taught last spring, but it's a decent example in that it shows you basically the way that Blackboard is set up and where you can find things. Now keep in mind, as was mentioned earlier, that the specifics of your Blackboard course will vary by course. So the color scheme might be different, the location of the various tools that are along the left side may vary a little bit, but overall this is where you can find all sorts of resources and assignments and syllabus and so on for your class. Also, just as a note, I am an instructor, so mine looks slightly different than the student version, and I have student preview turned on, so you will not see this orange bar, but that's why mine is there. So for my specific class, I have things organized into sections, one called Getting Started, one called In the Classroom, there's my Progress, Communicate, and then also Support. And I have this set up, as do most instructors, where the first screen that students see when they open Blackboard to this class is the announcements. Now, as I mentioned, this is a class that I taught in the past, so that's why it says the final grades are posted. You will see information that pertains to your class at the time that it is needed in your class. I have a welcome letter that introduces myself, introduces the class, gives some hints and tips. I tell students how to get started. Every class that uses Blackboard, particularly for online classes, should have something similar that gives you basically an idea of what do you do next? Do you get out your book? Do you read an article online? What do you do to get started? So in my class, I want students to watch the orientation presentation. Every class will always have a syllabus. I highly recommend that you print the syllabus, put it someplace near your textbook so you've got it handy. The syllabus is the contract for the class and tells you basically the rules. So here's the textbook that you need. Here's the late work policy. Here's information about what you can expect from the instructor. So make sure you read the syllabus and become familiar with it. And make sure you read the syllabus for every course. They do vary. Next section, at least in my classes, are the due dates. Tells you when assignments are due. Make sure you write down in a calendar. It can be an electronic calendar, but write or note someplace when your various assignments are due. You don't want to miss points because you didn't do something. So nice way to succeed in your classes is to turn everything in on time, and you'll do that by following due dates. All right, so from here in Blackboard, my next section is where students will find announcements. I've got assignments, what people need to do for each chapter in this particular class. Again, that will vary by class, so I'm not going to go through that specifically here. But another important thing to know in Blackboard is that you can keep track of your grades. So I've got two sections or two links here under my progress. One is for my grades, and when I click on that, you'll see a list of all of the assignments for the class. As the instructor, I haven't done any of these, but you will, and you'll be able to see the name of the assignment and when it was submitted and what your grade is. And over here, you can see that mine are all out of 100 points. If you see a little kind of call out box, kind of a cartoon bubble, that means that your instructor has left you a comment or some feedback. Always read the feedback. Even if you got 100%, your instructor might say something about the good work that you did. It's always good to get that feedback. Sometimes they'll say something like, this time I accepted this, but next time you need to change it. So you need, of course, to know that kind of information. So always read everything. In addition to keeping track of your grades, you can send emails to your instructor. You can get information about your instructor, so you can get their phone number, email address, basically contact information. So here's mine. And then the last part, at least that I have set up in my class, again, these do vary by instructor, is are resources that you can use to help you succeed in the class. So there's information about the college, information about how to use Blackboard, information how to use this particular tool that we use in Access called MindTap. So all those support things are right there for you. Some classes in your program have credit for prior learning options. So a list of courses that offer credit for prior learning, or CPL, can be found on your program's Blackboard site. CPL offers credit for skills that you already have studied or have experienced. And there are three types of CPL. Challenge exams allow you to prove your skills by testing out of courses. For most exams, you need to score 85% or higher to pass, and you need to complete the exam before you potentially would need to take the course in order to verify your skill level. So if you don't pass the exam, then you would need to take and pass the class. Online students also do have the option to take challenge exams. Online students need to find their own proctors and arrange for a time to take the exam in a professional setting. So the current fee for challenge exams is $50. Experiential credit is credit for past work experience. For experiential credit, you will need to submit things such as work samples, resumes, letters from employers, essays, and so on to prove your work experience. So you can't be enrolled in a course and also submit for experiential credit. So it's best to apply for experiential credit as soon as possible so you know whether or not you need to take the course. And the current fee for experiential credit is $90. And last credit for CPL is advanced placement and transfer credit. So if you hold certifications such as the CAP for Certified Administrative Professional, or PACE, Professional Administrative Certificate of Excellence, you can be awarded advanced standing placement for some courses, and they will be marked as completed in your program. Another option is to transfer credits from other colleges and universities to Madison College, and an academic advisor can help you with any of these types of CPL. If you have any questions about the information in this presentation, please contact your advisor. And this concludes this portion of the orientation. Please proceed to the next presentation.